Randy,
No,
Mike?
he was just telling me this morning about that. I don't know.
Yeah. We have sound, so
That's a good one.
He said he's going to be late. He'll be here for the meeting.
We're good to go. Call to order the committee of the whole meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. August.
Thank you so much, sir. Tonight we have just a few agenda items to review. One is a construction update from Site Logic and Jason Erb. So, Jason, if you want to come forward.
Okay, thank you. Tonight I'm going to give an update on the the site work, the middle school parent drop-off loop, the STEM lab, as well as the music and band room additions.
I don't know.
Should I keep going? Yep. You guys can see what I can see?
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
You can go to the next slide. The first set of pictures there. On the left side there is the entrance to the middle school. They're in the process of milling that existing paving. We'll get a new parking lot in that area, a little bit of grading and stormwater activity. The middle picture is, I'm on page 3. The middle picture is the part of the bus loop wrapping around the middle school. You can see the sidewalk is taking shape on the right-hand side there. And then the picture on the far right is the high school parking lot area. They milled that, half that parking lot there, and getting in preparation to install some stormwater piping, inlets, curbing, and new site lighting. Slide number 4, left side again is the middle school parent loop facing the red barn there. The middle one is again on the opposite side of the middle school there, heading towards the barn, the sidewalk, and they put in the curbing and the stone subbase. On the far right is again that more of that loop road. So that's slowly taking shape. A little bit of wet weather the past 2 weeks sort of slowed some things down a little bit, but they're getting back on it this week.
Jason, do you foresee any issues having that completed?
The only issue, which I talked to you before, which is later in the report regarding
okay.
the communication. Next item is high school STEM lab addition. The exterior brick masonry and cast stone is complete. Brick washdown was done as well, so they're installing the window frames now. Then the next slide will show some of the interior shots. Painting of the walls has started. On the right side there is the STEM lab. On the left side is the STEM lab. On the right side is the food community science, the kitchen, food lab. So they're taking shape. We'll be soon starting ceiling grade in those areas so we can get ready for above ceiling inspections. The next slide there shows the nursery suite on the left, and then on the right is the hallway in between the labs and the existing middle school.
Does that show the conference rooms or the tiny? Are those?
Did not take any pictures of the conference room.
Yeah, but they're in that hallway, right?
Conference room are in that hallway. I think on the right side here are these openings.
Okay.
Two conference rooms.
All right. Thank you.
I'll try to get better pictures of that next time. The music room addition, the exterior brick is complete, and they're in the process of washing down that brick, and we'll start the window frames. The music room walls have been painted, and overhead mechanical and electrical rough-ins have started for the lighting and the air supply and so forth. Going into the band room addition for the middle school, the exterior brick installation at the time was continuing. They did wrap up and in the process of washing down that brick as well. Roofing is complete on the band room addition, and interior walls are being block filled or sort of sealed in preparation for finished paint. Schedule overview. We did do a schedule update through the month of May. The high school classroom addition, the STEM lab still remains about 11 days behind, but we do have some milestone dates that are achievable to finish the ceiling, as well as performing above ceiling inspection in preparation for ceiling tile that are achievable dates that'll bring that back online with the original schedule.
So your level of concern about completing is low?
Low, yep.
Good.
Yep. The remaining additions for the music room and the band room, there's no issues. They've been tracking on schedule. Next slide, pay application summary. We're right around a little over 48% build out. As you see, the two notes there in between those spreadsheets, the grant funding, I believe it's settled. Kayla will be up to let me know if there's anything, but I think we finally got that straightened out for the separate invoices. 48% complete on schedule-wise. We're right around 60, so we're doing good there. The only item, the Kleinfelder testing invoice has not been submitted yet. They didn't provide the proper documentation. Once I receive that, I'll release that to the district for payment.
What's that for? What's that Kleinfeld for?
Kleinfelder is the testing agency, so they test the concrete, the sub-base for the paving, and so forth. It's steel inspections.
So that's included in the overall, that's included in the overall price.
Overall budget, yeah. Mm-hmm. Cost issues. ECI change order 1, the draft was issued for the district to review. The only thing I want to highlight is the water meter vault. I did plug in a number that was originally quoted over $27,000 for the meter vault changes. That's based on the borough review and recommendations. They ended up adding a bypass in that vault, which makes the vault bigger and adds additional cost. Also, I noted further in the report that now they want the contractor to provide the meter. Typically, the borough will provide the meter whenever you have a meter vault or even a meter at your home. Typically, the borough will provide that, but Shippensburg is requiring the contractor to supply it. So that's in yellow because we're proceeding on a time and material basis. We didn't agree with their pricing. We thought the excavation costs were too high. So a CCD, or a construction change directive, was issued.
You see it, Fred?
Don't slow down because of me.
Oh. Well, the next slide is the original contingency. The pending approved change order total, that does include the ECI draft change order, and previous change orders that were approved. So the remaining contingency right now projected is a little over $200,000.
So, Jason, just for perspective, being this far into the project, that's remains a healthy contingency fund.
It's a very healthy contingency because you're out of the ground. There's no unforeseen conditions. So
I say that because we have some change orders on the agendas. Yep. Okay.
well, like I said, on the agenda, that change orders are incorporated into this,
Oh, okay. So even better.
the ECI one.
Right. Okay. Even better.
We won't be getting any change orders?
What's that?
We will not be getting any more change orders?
There's some potential change orders in the mix.
When you say change order, explain that to me.
There's potential costs for either design-related issues or owner requests that we're tracking. We got proposals. We need to vet those proposals to be more in line because we feel most times we get proposals from contractors. We need to review them for labor and material, and then we'll have them corrected based on our knowledge of what labor and materials required for that work. Sometimes they overestimate, and we try to bring them back in line.
So, Jason, your
Fair cost.
site logic is vetting all of these change orders
We are.
to make sure that they're realistic and appropriate.
Yep.
We shouldn't be over budget then.
What's that?
We shouldn't be over budget on this project.
No. No, we're not. Like I said, we're not nearly even close to that 200,000.
Okay.
Okay. I believe the cost issues we're tracking are going to be way below that, and Bill and I talk quite frequently, and we can keep up to date on that.
And we'll bring them through facility for dates.
Next item is project challenges. The water meter vault we talked about a little bit. And that's just basically a summary of what I just talked about. The additional cost for the water meter will be included in that construction change directive. Any questions on the water meter vault? Next item is a new item. Brightspeed Fiber provides telephone lines to the district for fire alarm. In the design from K&W, in order to reroute the roads for the parent drop-off loop for the middle school and align the exit coming out of the stadium, there's a little bit of road work there we need to do. There's two existing telephone pedestals out there that are owned by Brightspeed. In February, we started calling them to coordinate the relocation of those pedestals. They were included in the project. In the design of the project, Brightspeed was contacted to start scheduling that work. They never got back to us until towards the end of May. So we just started coordinating with them. They need to do a survey, and they also need to provide a proposal to the district for relocating that service. Again, that's included in the soft costs in the budget. But as of right now, I don't feel comfortable that's going to be done before the start of school. Keep calling to get a proposal from Brightspeed. They haven't returned my calls. So we will continue to push them along, but that's going to hold things up a little bit.
Does that line service the community or just the school?
It's my understanding it just serves the community, but to be honest with you, when we question Brightspeed, I'm not even sure if they know. But I believe talking with Troy, the IT manager here, He thinks it only serves the fire alarm system for the school.
Okay.
So then,
So those,
go ahead.
so relocating the poles is holding up what part of our project?
But it's holding up the entrance to the middle school loop road off of, do you want to go to that next slide? So, these are the existing poles right here where the arrows are. I'm sorry. My bad. Where the clouds are the existing poles. Where they are is where the new road that comes out of the high school from the stadium is located. So it needs to be relocated to the left in order to dodge that new exit out of the stadium. The new loop road, that current box is right in the middle of the loop road, so it needs to be relocated to the right. And then they've got another conduit that goes down to another pedestal that needs to be installed. That doesn't affect anything, but these two do. So until these are relocated, we can't use that as an entrance, and we can't use that as the new entrance.
If they don't respond to you, what then?
So Fred, I'm going to be reaching out to them tomorrow to expedite this. So I'm going to reach out as superintendent to give them some context about how important this is.
Take it you haven't dealt with Brightspeed.
I've not dealt with Brightspeed.
Good luck.
I'm glad you know then.
Okay. So can you bottom line this for us, Jason,
Bottom line is,
in terms of the start of school?
right now I'm working with EI Associates, the architect, K&W, to come up with an alternate solution, possibly a temporary solution to be able to use those roads. Worst case scenario for the middle school, we'll have to use the existing entrance, and the parking lot expansion will be done. Have to use the existing entrance off of Everly there and come in and circle around and go back out the front of the middle school. Worst case scenario until we get that settled.
Okay.
You have the
There's other options we're talking about, and as soon as I get them finalized a little bit, I'll let you know.
Is the line exposed already? I mean, do you have it?
There's one or two areas where the line's exposed.
Okay.
We're not looking at any discontinuation of like phone or fire alarm service with this. The big issue is that we won't be able to use the roads, not that there will be like,
There won't be any issue with the fire alarm system that I'm aware of.
okay.
As far as I know, that's been operating the way it's supposed to.
So the lines themselves aren't going to be, that's not the problem. It's the fact that they're in the middle of
Yes.
roads. Okay.
Correct.
Let me piggyback off that. If we don't move those poles, we can't do the driveway, correct?
Just can't do the entrance there. The driveway will stop maybe 15, 20 feet short of the entrance off of Eberly because that pole's in the middle.
So what are the parents supposed to do when they bring the kids? Drive around, can they drive around it?
This is for the buses, right?
I'm not sure if you're set up. I thought this was the parent access to drop
Okay.
kids off. This isn't for buses.
Okay.
All right, but I'm saying if the pole's not moved, what happens to the parents when they drop and pick the kids
The
up?
pole can't be moved. We're looking at an option of possibly doing a temporary paving around the pole into the loop. Or we'll have to use the lower entrance here, come in the front of the building, and then there'll be another loop in front of the building that you'd have to go back out.
Yeah, so Fred, I think what I'm hearing Jason say is we'll communicate with Brightspeed the urgency of this, but come up with some contingency plans that we'll let the board know before it's hopefully it's a moot point, but if it's not, we'll develop an alternate plan for however long it takes for us to get this done.
Yeah. Stadium project, the update there is we finished the painting and the line painting. The remediation down by the scoreboard is complete with the exception the 8-foot fence still needs to be installed. The play clock posts are on site, waiting for some dry weather, so this week they should get back on that, as well as the discus and the shot put area. There's still some more concrete work that needs to be done on those. With the weather the past 2 weeks, not a whole lot got done. Any questions?
So a couple glitches, but generally on time and generally on budget.
Kids will be able to get in school. The road might be a little bit of a hiccup, but
We're gonna have to invest in some Jeeps. Got it. Any other questions for Jason? Thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate
One
it.
quick question, and it's a small thing, but just curious, the color cross between the two schools back here, sidewalk or road that goes across, there's a curb put in along the edge in there, cement curb. Why does that look like it's ready for a roller coaster? It goes like this all the way across. I assume it would be following a string line, or what? How did they get that?
well, they used a curb machine. I don't know if you know what a curb machine is, but it's a machine that forms a curb, and they pour concrete in a chute, and it follows that string line. I know what your issue is,
Okay.
and we've already brought it up, so it's something we are pursuing to get corrected.
Well, we won't have to pay for it.
No.
Okay.
Usually it's either tiered or it's straight or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's-
Okay.
I agree, it's wavy.
Okay, just asking.
Yes,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Do you need me to stay around for the change order or not?
If you don't mind, we just need to move on here to item 2AA, Franklin County Learning Center. Joining us via the internet is Dr. Chris Marchese from the IU12 director. Just to give some background, I know in my update, I kind of explained what we're talking about here. So IU12 runs the Franklin County Learning Center, which deals with students with special needs. It is one of the most cost-effective placements that we have. When the Franklin County Authority was created, Shippensburg was not a member of it, and there are advantages to being a member. One is that you are allowed to place students there, and the other is you get a discount on those placements. So to kind of give the history, Shippensburg has been blessed that a lot of our students who have specific needs have been able to be placed at the Franklin County Learning Center. But as more and more schools are struggling to find placements because we were not an official member, they were graciously allowing us to sunset our spots. So at one point we had 19 or 20 students there, but as those students graduated or moved on, those spots were reallocated to member districts. So we currently ended the year, I believe, with 12 students there. And so we're kind of at a tipping point in terms of using the Franklin County Learning Center as a placement. So there are a number of factors that allow, or at least make it an opportune time for us to consider joining the Franklin County Learning Center Authority, Joint Authority. And I wanted to detail some of the costs for that. And Dr. Marchese was here to answer any questions. In reviewing this, there is a one-time $137,800 fee to join this body. That is really, I think, mostly about buying into and owning parts of the building and having equity in it. So that's the one-time fee. However, because we are not members, we pay a higher rate for the students that we send there. So just to get this in mind, our slots are diminishing over time, and we don't have the same access to the facility, and we're paying more for the students that go there. Okay, so there is a cost savings to us for us to become a member. For the 12 students already placed there, the difference in the tuition that we're charged would be $43,254. So our net one investment really comes down to roughly $94,546 when you take that one-time buy-in fee and you subtract the difference that we would already be paying. Okay?
That difference we would
We would continue to
have
expand. So the upside is we would continue to see that savings, and we would continue to have access to one of the most cost-effective placements in the area. So I added a couple advantages to this. Access to a low-cost as a placement option. It's geographically close, and I can't stress that enough for us. We are in the Cumberland County Consortium, which is awesome, but a lot of those placements are on the other side of Cumberland County or further. This one is basically in Shippensburg, where our students go to career tech. So geographically, it makes sense for us. And even though there is this upfront cost, should the building ever be sold, we would have a cut of what it was sold for based on our buy-in. Dr. Marchese, did I miss anything?
The only thing, no, Bill, you did not. Good evening, everybody. The only thing that I would just want to clarify, the numbers that you shared, Bill, are spot on. That's assuming that there would be, there's conversation that one of the member districts may want to withdraw their ownership of the facility. So that's part of what sparked this conversation about Shippensburg possibly coming in. In fact, if all current member districts maintain, the cost is a little bit lower to Shippensburg in terms of that one-time cost. Not significant, it's about $5,000 less, but $5,000 is $5,000. So generally speaking, the example that Bill has shared with you this evening is generated off of your Franklin County PDE 2028 STEB market value for all your parcels that currently exist in Franklin County, which generates a percent equity of roughly 6.88%, 6.89%, which would, as Bill described, to buy into the authority because of your wealth value, it's going to offset the values of the other member districts. So essentially, you're compensating for the shift in the ownership percentage if you come in. But as was discussed, assuming that the Shippensburg Board of School Directors wants to proceed, there's a whole series of events in terms of authorizations and actions that will have to take place amongst not only the Shippensburg area school board, but all the school boards of the current authority, and then a possible modification to some of the bylaws so that there would be a board member representative to sit on the joint authority board that meets a few times a year. So overall, there is an advantage for Shippensburg to join in because your cap is basically lifted. and you can send more than the current 12 students. You would not have to pay the non-member rate, which is a lower fixed cost rate plus program costs. So there's a lot of upside to it. And as was discussed, if there's ever in the future the authority having to basically break down and the building having to be sold, your initial investment is actually protected and you would receive that back upon departure. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I think Bill described it pretty spot on in terms of the conversations that we've had at the intermediate unit with the authority member districts over the last couple months.
And I just would point out, it's an interesting time to want to be to buy in shares, so to speak, at the Franklin Learning Center, because they're expanding programs, so they are going to be doing a building project, which we would have to be a part of, and that's that annual debt service that you see is 42,194, minus our current savings, kind of makes it a wash out of the gate once those bills start coming in. And I would just remind the board that placements are harder and harder to come by, and outside of the Franklin County Learning Center, they are generally more expensive. So this could be some additional savings as we look to, through student services, adjust what placements we're purchasing. I believe you're adding an emotional support program. Is that right, Dr. Marchese?
Yeah, we're looking. We're going to be adding a secondary emotional support placement program, as well as looking at programs where students may not need to be regularly educated at the Learning Center, but might need to be educated for shorter periods of time, i.e. policy violators, etc. I just came out of the superintendency, so I know how challenging it can be in terms of identifying educational programs that meet various populations of students. So we're looking to tier our programs across the intermediate unit and across the learning centers that we operate, as well as flexing and responding to what the districts are seeing as their greatest need, and that is dealing with behavioral and mental health and emotional support-based services.
And I'd like to give a shout out to Chris, since he recently came on board. They've been very forward thinking and really trying to meet the tailored needs of the districts in the Franklin County Authority. So kudos to you, Chris, for your leadership there. And like I said, once that comes online, then additional placements that we have with other outside agencies, can be looked at and reallocated, so that we have additional cost savings.
So it sounds very much like the career tech model, where kind of there are members, everybody pays in, there's representation from our board on their board, and then any costs for additions or anything like that are spread out across the members. So it's a very similar model.
Based on that, kind of our how much stock we own, right. Based on our numbers, for sure.
What's the difference, non-membership?
So roughly speaking, a member has about an $8,000 tuition. A non-member has $11,000. Chris, am I right?
Yeah, plus your program costs. So, which varies by program. So basically, the per student fee essentially funds the general operations of the facility. And then you lay your special education program costs on top of that. So it's a pretty efficient model that works really well in terms of keeping costs as low as they can for the member districts. As already described, Shippensburg is currently a non-member district, so they're paying a higher rate per student. And these scenarios are built as if your student population stays at 12. Obviously, more than 12 students is going to generate greater savings to Shippensburg over time. And in theory, it's I think a good business decision for the school district to really strongly consider this as a possible solution. I will want to preference too that this is all based on an assumed value of the facility at $2 million. If this gets to a point where Shippensburg says, yes, we want to proceed, then the likelihood is that myself and Brent Kessler, Brent's our director of finance at the IU, will meet with the authority board and ask the board to authorize a fair market analysis of the facility so that we really can study hard numbers in terms of what those cost impacts are. And preliminarily, we talked about no exchange of money until July of 2026. So it won't hit your 25-26 budget. You'll have a year to prepare for what those impacts would be.
So,
But you could potentially, if things kind of proceed at a rate where everybody does what they need to do, say during the 25-26 school year, you could begin to take advantage of more seats at the lower rate, and recognizing that all the financial transactions would come on July 1 of 2026. That's conceptually what we talked about.
So what steps does the board need to consider, if this is a direction Shippensburg wants to go?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. So, and is this a board member question? Just so, because I can't see anybody. So,
No, that was a superintendent question.
is that Bill's question? Okay. So if Shippensburg says yes, we want to proceed, then what we'll do is we'll have to initiate conversations with the authority board officially and with the other member districts, and then they're going to have to go through their processes. And what we would hope to do is have Shippensburg take official action on joining the authority no later than September 1st. And depending on what your meeting schedule is over the summer, I know everybody does things a little bit different over the summer. But as late as August 31, I think would be a fine to have an official resolution or action that Shippensburg is interested in and actually pursuing, membership with the authority. And then we would then turn to the other 5 districts and ask them to authorize Shippensburg to be a member. And we would look to do that in the month of September. And then get everything, all those resolutions. So essentially by October 1, you could be an official member of the authority. And then from there, as Bill had already said, there's a schedule of debt service that we're looking at taking on, because the building was built in the early 70s, and it's been maintained very well. But as you all are dealing with capital improvements, that facility also needs capital improvements. So we're looking to go out on a project bidding schedule, probably in the late fall, in terms of establishing a parameters resolution, borrowing, awarding of bids, et cetera, so that we get projects. And they're like HVAC projects and roof projects. It's not any hard level expansion to the facility. We're actually not refurbishing the pool currently, and that's where we're building out additional classroom spaces. So that's actually happening this summer, and that should be hopefully completed in the fall. So those programs will open up in the fall of 2025. But all the other infrastructure upgrades, we would look to schedule out and have them underway in June. So there is a little bit of, I think, some urgency from the authority standpoint that Shippensburg should make a decision fairly quickly, because we have to go through a schedule of debt planning, and we want to go through that in a way where we can actually get those bids out and accept them and award them and get the projects up and running for the summer, for this time next summer. So
translation, not that you need to translate it, Chris, is we have a little bit of time to talk it over.
You do.
But sometime in August, we need to let the authority know whether we're in or out.
Yeah.
How many students do they have total?
We run programs for about 100 and I believe it's 160 students right now. It can range anywhere from 130 to 160. With the additional programs that we're bringing on, we can expand that out probably another 45 to 50 students over time. So the changing demographics of the student populations obviously will flex, but we have been operating, I believe, in that 130 range for a few years. I don't have that number directly off the top of my head.
So, further context, if my information from people in the field is correct, I know that some of our placements can get pretty close to more like $100,000 a year, and so to pay $8,000 is
Well, plus program fee, so I don't know, it's not like a straight 8, but
right. But it's a significant savings compared to some of our more expensive.
Absolutely, and even this year there were a few students that we had hoped to place that would have been great fits at the Franklin County Learning Center, which we were not able to do because we're not members, and we're on the sunsetting status right now. I mean, so basically, since its foundation, we've kind of like swam alongside of it like one of those tiny fish, but with the change in the demand, we're going to be on the outside looking
How many
in.
students can we go to? How many, what would be our max allocation of students?
I don't know if you really can determine what your max is. It's really about what the programs are. We would build the programs based on the member district needs first. So it's hard to answer that question. It's not a traditional based program. So
So we've had 19 at least at one point, Kirk. We were one of the heavier users of the facility while not being a member, which was awkward in some meetings for me. So
in essence, we could potentially get back up to 19 pooling. What did we say we had?
Depends. So to Chris's point, depending on the needs of other districts, program sizes, there's some variables there that are hard to spell out until we kind of know.
Possibility is we can increase our kids.
Yes, that is the whole idea of this.
And we're pulling from higher, what would you say our higher price?
Well,
facilities are?
again, I think it's based on the needs and the disabilities of the student.
Just asking for a dollar number.
I've seen as high as $70,000, $80,000 per slot.
Would you say our average is?
For Jeremy Eastman question.
Yeah,
Yes, will be fine.
I don't think it's less than 35. I mean, by average, and that's just a total guess.
Potentially, we can pull 6 kids in, average kid 35, maybe.
Yeah, again, I don't want to oversell this in terms of like
think
program
I'm not
compatibility.
I'm not trying to oversell anything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see, because I know some of those programs that we got spaces for were not cheap, and we couldn't get enough of them.
Correct, and this is, this is a upfront cost to my mind that down the line sets us up to be in a better spot for placements. I think administratively the kind of tagline was this is a no-brainer. I think Dr. Marchese would say the same thing. I know Jeremy Eastman is completely on board. Caleb is on board, and I certainly would recommend that we move in this direction, despite the outlay, which is not ever fun.
I understand. All I want to know is there a need?
So there is a need, and this is setting us up to be as efficient as possible, Fred. That's what we're trying to do.
What was the outlay again, the initial?
So the initial outlay, so minus the savings of the 12 that we have there. So the initial outlay is $137,800, but by becoming a member, that is, we save $43,000. So the initial outlay is 94,546, but could be around 90 if another district decides that they want to stay. So I gave the worst case scenario. You know, to Chris's point, it's about a $5,000 swing, depending on what that other district decides, who has very low usage, and that's why they're considering, you know, coming out.
And that's assuming, again, that's assuming that the fair market value of the facility is $2 million. We don't know what that is. If it's $1 million, it's going to be less. If it's $3 million, it's going to be slightly more. So that's why when we had this conceptual conversation with all the member district superintendents as well as Bill, we look to kind of say, okay, if the fair market value of the facility is $2 million, it could very well be $2 million, but we don't know. That's if Shippensburg says, or if Bill says that, yeah, we're going to do this, we want to do this, then we're going to go back to the authority and say we need to get fair market value analysis done of the facility, because we have to. That's all got to be built into all the resolutions so that everybody knows kind of what the impacts are. We're fairly confident that your STEB value, if all 5 remain, will be about 6.7%. So that would be your ownership share. And again, just so you're aware, that's based on only on your Franklin County. We're not including your Cumberland County tax parcels. So we're only including the fair market value of all the properties that exist within Franklin County, even though your entire district would be subject to being able to be part of the authority.
So you're going to get to do your fair market value, your analysis, fair market value.
Pardon me?
Who is going to do your analysis for fair
I don't know. We would have to. I don't know if the authority has an agent that they've worked with in the past, or if that's a conversation amongst the board members of the joint authority to go to a specific agent that does that. So typically, in my experiences, when you go out and you do a fair market analysis of a property, most of the time it's against a property that is trying to appeal their tax level. So you're already kind of in litigation, and you go out and you get an independent analysis, usually through some kind of real estate agent. So that's something that I'll have to discuss with the authority board members and talk to Mr. Kessler at the IU whether or not there's a preferred vendor that the authorities worked with in the past to establish that fair market value.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for?
Yes, as being a member, do you get a discount on the program, the fee,
No.
both?
You get a discount on, if you're a member, it's roughly, I think it's $8,000. If you're a non-member, it's like close to $12,000. That's your upcharge premium. And again, that's based on your per student allocation multiplied by that number. And that essentially funds like the general operations, your heat, your electricity, just to keep the building running. Then the other cost is your program cost, and that's because as the IU runs the program, so we set a rate for that program. Now that rate is currently under a reconciliation model where it's based on ADM. So number of students divided by all the cost associated through that specific program generates a per student cost. We're actually shifting away from a reconciliation model and going to a fixed pricing model. This is something that all 3 county superintendent school districts have asked the IU to kind of really look at the structuring of their program and the pricing of their program, because it's hit or miss in terms of it's hard to plan, I should say, from a budgetary standpoint at the district level for the programs, because we'll publish a high and a low range, and then that number can move over time. So there are some times when a district will close its books at the end of, say, August, after everything accrues, Sometimes a district might get a check back from the IU because of the way in which the reconciliation worked. But other times there might be a situation where a district may owe more than what they thought they would owe. And just knowing what it's like at the school district level, that would not make me sleep well as a superintendent and as a business manager to have that unpredictability within your budgeting process. So we are shifting our pricing structure to a marketplace model. These are similar to what you've experienced when you've gone out to some of the private vendors to look at student placements. So we'll have a fixed price. That will be an all-inclusive price, so that when you're planning your budgets in January, February, March for the next school year, that those costs are actually published to you on the onset of your budget cycle, as opposed to a projected cost high-low, where you're kind of having to identify what it might land at and then kind of have to work through the next 12 months of the fiscal year to reconcile. So that's something that we're working on right now to establish those pricing structures. We'll be publishing our market pricing to the business managers and the superintendents within our footprint in probably November of 2025. And then by December, districts are pretty much in a spot where they're beginning to plan their next fiscal year budget. So that's a shift for us at the IU, but it's a much more streamlined approach in terms of pricing. I will say too that we will continue to be the lower cost provider for special education services. So we've already kind of done a back end analysis, and when you look at programs that we operate at the Learning Center versus similar programs that you've gone out to other vendors for, we're significantly less in terms of our costs. And when I say significantly, it can be upwards of $20,000 to $25,000 less per student.
So then, another way to put this into context is, if let's go with that $25,000 lower.
Yeah.
So if we move 4 students from these more expensive placements to the Franklin that's basically a teacher's salary that we're saving.
Exactly.
Correct.
As far as the quality of learning that goes on, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but is the quality of equal value to across the board kind of between all these places?
I think there's variance between placements. There's placements we prefer for just those reasons. I believe that we've had great success with our Franklin County Learning Center students. I know that
That was my question.
yeah, we've had no complaints that I'm aware of from Franklin County over my 3 years here.
As far as budgeting, kids that we already send there are already in this current year's budget. The only thing that would be outside of our budget would be the initial outlay.
Correct. Which, just to be clear, that it's based on a $2 million valuation.
Understood.
So up or down, it could be. I don't want there to be any, it's not chiseled in stone until we know.
But that wouldn't be until next year's budget.
Correct.
Correct. And hypothetically, that's based on 12 students. So let's assume everything proceeds, and say by November 1st, Shippensburg is considered a member district of the authority. Then the cap is lifted, and then when that final tally of expenses and transaction outlay that would be due in July of 2026, that would be factored into, because essentially the students that you have there currently would shift from a non-member to a member rate, which would save you $43,000 right out of the gate. So you wouldn't be billed that way. You're going to start to recover some of those costs in the current fiscal year that you can earmark to offset whatever that impact is in terms of your initial buy-in in July of 2026, if that makes sense.
I don't see any downfalls.
There really
it's a big check up front, but outside of that, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it sets the district up moving forward. Like I said, seems like a no-brainer from a lot of people from different perspectives. So we'll thank you so much for your time tonight, Chris. We really appreciate it. That allows us to start this conversation a little bit more internally. At the next board meeting, we can have a discussion item on it, and look to come to some consensus as a board, so that they, the Franklin, the IU can make their, and the authority can make their decisions as well.
Yeah, and if there's any questions as you kind of work through that process, just feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to get any answers to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Have a nice night, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Last item, which I hope is rather quick, is the Mid-State Electric change order. Jason, do you mind talking a little bit about that?
For the additions?
Mid-State, yeah, the electric, the control panel change order.
I wasn't prepared to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I'll answer any questions.
So this is for parts, labor, and materials, pathways to access control systems, and power for door hardware as attached schedule of work and ASC meeting held on 4/7/25. Ms. Straub, are you able to talk about this at all?
So there were some doors at the high school that didn't have the hardware on it for the strike system and the door magnets, and that's what that was for. There's
Okay.
a few doors that we wanted to put another card reader on, and the door magnets for, and that was the reason for additional wiring and stuff. So,
Okay. And this is something we want and need to do?
yeah, it was one of those things that, another one that we missed.
Okay.
Any questions for Tim or Jason on that particular change order?
You missed it on the bid?
Excuse me?
You missed it on the bid when you bid?
I think it was just overlooked. It wasn't missed on the bid, it was just overlooked when they priced it out.
For the bid. I mean, we're talking about $5,000.
Just so you're aware that it wasn't designed with access control, some of the exterior doors. And when we had our coordination meeting, we questioned whether the school wanted to put access on all the exterior doors. And that's where the additional costs are, a couple extra doors that weren't shown to be.
Thank you.
It's an us thing. Is
So
that a
basically,
better way of
it's an
saying it?
add-on that- But
Yeah,
was missed in the review.
it's
that
more of
others
a,
should have been in.
if the door was getting used a lot, so it was more of a, we needed to add another badge reader there so the staff can come in and out.
It's $6,800, right?
Yes. Any other questions on that? All right, that concludes Committee of the Whole.
All right, the board is going to step out for a quick executive session, and then we'll come back and start our planning and action meeting.
Thank you very much.
Just before we, yeah, I'll just have it.
So we've cut off, and we're already at 3.03, so. I'm not positive, but I thought we said 3. But regardless, it should give us right where we need to be. We need to find out, we don't have, we don't.
Yeah, we're ready.
We have to do that.
All right, I call to order the planning and action meeting. The board did meet in executive session prior to go over the Act 55 safety update and also personnel items. Roll call.
Mr. Jim Bard, Mr. Mike Carey,
Here.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Here.
Dr. Nathan Goetz,
Here.
Dr. Michael Lyman,
Here.
Mr. Kirk Noggle,
Here.
Mr. Fred Scott,
Here.
Mr. Darren Donovan,
Here.
Mrs. Steph Eberly.
All right, we're going to pledge the allegiance. All right, as we begin our deliberations this evening, let us once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of this school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of need or ability. This meeting is being live streamed and uploaded to the district's YouTube channel. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students in the Shippensburg Area School District, and also a moment of silence for Edward W. Tarner, a 1963 graduate of the Shippensburg Area High School.
I'd like to add one more name to that. We had a loss of a 1979 graduate, Thomas Lynch.
All right, so on to the agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I just gotta make a motion to approve.
Mr. Scott made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carey. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, is there any?
I don't believe we have any public comment.
Okay. All right, Mr. Blount is not here. Mr. August for the superintendent's report.
My items were done during the committee of the whole.
Okay.
Before we move on to the consent agenda, our last meeting, we had an item that was put on the table, and I'd like to make a motion to return that from the table. In this, so the item on the last agenda was item 4FI, which is the transfer of Cassandra R. Shapel. And so I'd like to make a motion to take that off the table and add it then to 4H. So I guess that would come in as 4H40. Cassandra R. Shapel, reading specialist and librarian at Nancy Grayson and Grace Beeler's Elementary Schools, 2, so there's a transfer, 2, reading interventionist at Grace B. Lures Elementary School and Shippensburg area middle school. Salary remains the same, effective August 18, 2025.
So there's a motion made by Dr. Goetz for 4F1, which was the transfer of Cassandra R. Chapel, to untable that from the last meeting. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kressler. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we need to put that on. We need to put that on now, right?
So the motion was to take it off the table and put it and include it as part of 4H on the present agenda. So if we go through the consent agenda presently, then we will have voted on this as well.
All right, so then moving on to the consent agenda, we have 4A, approval of minutes, 4B, finance, 4C, disposing of outdated textbooks and instruments, 4D, disposal of microscopes, 4E, the Shippensburg Area Senior High School Facebook and Instagram page. Blake Fritz would like to create a Facebook and Instagram account to quickly share updates, celebrate student achievements, promote events, and to keep parents, students, and staff informed. The social media accounts will be managed and monitored by Blake Fritz. 4F is special education renewal agreements. Administration recommends approval of the following student service agreements. 1, Mrs. Stephanie Metz, a contractor to provide speech therapy and consulting services to special education students in the district. The recommendation is being made as the current speech caseload exceeds the state caseload capacity. And number 2, New Story Schools to provide intensive academic and behavioral interventions for special education students. The proposed agreements are for 13 students for the 25-26 school year. 4G, operations and maintenance service contracts. Administration recommends approval of the following operations and maintenance renewal contracts to be paid out of the regular maintenance budget. 1 is BFPE International Incorporated for the inspection of fire protection systems, i.e. fire extinguishers. Number 2, Train, it's the service and maintenance of the intermediate school's air cooling system. And number 3 is Train, the service and maintenance of the high school air cooling system. 4H is personnel for professional and support staff, supplemental staff, ESY teachers, and coaches for football, field hockey, cross country, volleyball, soccer, golf, cheerleading, and year-round non-coaching athletic positions. 4I is personnel for administrative staff. For number 1, Brian C. Watkins, the assistant high school principal position at the Shippensburg Area High School at a salary of $103,000 effective to be determined, replacing Blake Fritz in her promotion of being the new high school principal. All right, so is there a motion to approve 4A through 4I, and then that does include item 40 for Cassandra R. Appel for transferring as reading specialist and librarian at Nancy Grayson and Grace B. Lors to reading interventionalist at Grace B. Lors Elementary School and Shippensburg Area Middle School. The salary remains the same, effective August 18th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Carey, second by Dr. Goetz. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Watkins, not that you're required, I didn't know if you wanted to come up and just introduce yourself. You don't have to. If you just want to come up real quick.
Thank you, everybody. It's nice to meet you. Ryan Watkins. Thank you for approving me. I appreciate that. And I look forward to meeting each one of you then. So, any questions for me?
No, sir.
Welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so moving on to the action agenda. 5A is the Franklin County Children and Youth Service Agreement as mandated by the Educational Stability Act, and to comply with the Every Student Succeeds Act, the district shall provide transportation services to facilitate children in foster care so they are able to remain in their home school. The administration recommends approval of the agreement between Franklin County Children and Youth Service and the district. Is there a motion to approve 5A?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Carey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Lyman. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 5B is Freedom Christian Academy, the 2025-2026 transportation request. Administration recommends approval for Freedom Christian Academy, a non-public school serving the Shippensburg area, to provide its own transportation for the 25-26 school year. Is there a motion to approve 5B?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Carey. Is there a second?
Mr. Prescott seconds.
Second by Mr. Scott. Discussion?
Yeah, are they asking to provide their own bus now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just procedural on our part, is my understanding, Fred. They want to do their own transportation, so we have to go through this process to allow them to do that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 5C is Nucella renewal agreement for the 25-26 school year. The administration recommends approval of the renewal agreement with Nucella for the 25-26 school year. The $16,815.24 cost will be paid out of the technology budget. Is there a motion to approve 5C?
Rich gonna make a motion to approve.
Mr. Scott made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Noggle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 5D is the Shippensburg Area School District Workers' Compensation Renewal. Administration recommends approval of the renewal workers' compensation insurance for the 25-26 fiscal year. Coverage type is the workers' compensation, the carrier UPMC. The 24-25 pricing was $135,531. Is there a motion to approve 5D?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Carey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goetz. Discussion?
We're gonna use UPMC is what we have now?
Yes.
Okay, with the new contract with the teachers, could that change that?
No, this is separate from that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, up next we have 5E, Next Gen Service Contract for 2025 through 2027. Administration recommends approval of the attached 3-year service contract with Next Gen to provide consultation, optimization, and updating of the existing BAS/energy management systems district-wide. Cost detailed below will be paid out of the regular maintenance budget. Yearly cost will be for the 25-26 year is $24,260. The 26-27 year will be $25,110. The 27-28 year will be $25,990. Is there a motion to approve 5E?
Mr. Scott, make a motion to approve.
Mr. Scott made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goetz. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5F is financial software through the CSIU. Administration recommends the approval of the contract with CSIU. The current software, ProSoft, is no longer being updated, which has made it difficult to keep up with state and federal reporting guidelines as they change. The annual cost will be $36,277, which is $1,267 more than what we pay for ProSoft. This will be paid from the technology budget. Is there a motion to approve 5F?
Mr. Scott, make a motion to approve.
Mr. Scott made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Lyman. Discussion?
I assume this is going to make your job easier.
Yes, and the HR world as well.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thought, wasn't this the, we got the AI software that integrated with our ProSoft, right?
So once, yeah, we're going to be taking a snapshot of ProSoft and hooking that into Nexus. Once this gets up and running, we'll do the same thing with this. But that will be more live data.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Roll call.
Mr. Bard. Mr. Carey.
Yes.
Mr. Kressler.
Yes.
Dr. Goetz.
Yes.
Dr. Lyman.
Yes.
Mr. Noggle.
No.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Eberly's absent.
6-1.
Yep, 6 yes, 1 no. Motion passed.
All right, moving on to 5G, the high school, middle school project, change order GC-01. The Facilities Committee has reviewed the attached change order request. The administration recommends approval of the change order for the high school, middle school project. Is there a motion to approve 5G?
So moved.
Motion made by Dr. Goetz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Kressler. Discussion?
Which change order is this?
Countertops, all that
Oh.
middle school.
We just went over and looked at this just prior to the meeting. We have to plan the right time under discussion.
Yeah, this would be the time to discuss it, yeah.
They had removed mailboxes from the wall, and the desk, the countertop in behind, had butted up against the backside of the mailboxes. Pulled those out, and it's left a larger gap. Mike and I looked at it and thought that the reveal could be covered in a much cheaper way. I mean, this is a $4,000 change order, and we did talk to a gentleman from SiteLogic and about it. So you can either replace the entire countertop for about $4,000, or you can probably do an under $1,000 fix, put on the backside. So it would be a savings of about $3,000. So that's what you're voting on.
To fix what it's gonna look like.
What's that?
It's only about an 8-foot strip right under the boxes, and anywhere from 2 to 4 inches is a gap in the back of the counter. The window ledge, which they have to put in a new window ledge anyhow, we just ask them to meet it on that. Or put in a flat piece and cover it and make it meet. Really, the counter's in good shape, the cabinets are in good shape, there just seems no reason to tear out a entire
Okay.
countertop for that, but it's our opinion. So.
Where are we at now?
Well, I mean, any more discussion on it, and then the president would.
Now, that would be it. Just wanted everybody to know.
What would be the recommendation from facilities?
I would recommend, this is being me, I would recommend that they put a filler in behind it and not spend the $4,000 for an entire countertop. It's probably 14 foot long. It'd be like a kitchen countertop, and it turns left. And there's probably 6 feet there. That would be our recommendation. You could buy something else if you need.
I would agree with the same. I wouldn't, if I were doing it for myself even, that there's no reason why you can't fill in a couple inches on the backside, and the countertop's already that deep, so they don't lose really any space doing that.
So I assume that there's some reason why this was I think I'd like to hear from the people we're paying to make these recommendations. In addition, not to diminish.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why he's here.
That hurts, but go ahead.
So the architect made the recommendation. A new countertop's gonna make the space look nicer without a patch. They're correct, it is more expensive cost. You can do a patch with some type of metal.
When he says patch, if it's done properly, is it a patch?
Yes,
All
sir.
matter of opinion.
It is all a
What's your
matter of
opinion? Is it a patch or not?
It'd be a patch.
We're arguing over
Right.
$3,500 or $3,000.
Yeah, comes down to the money. So
Well, so then the question is like, does this require a new change order then? And then we have to like, this doesn't get approved until,
So what I
July.
could do is take this item off the change order, leave the other 3 items on there, so that can get potentially approved tonight, and then we can circle back on the countertop.
So another option is essentially, if we vote yes, we're saying we want new counters for $4,000.
Correct.
If we vote no, we're saying that we would like to look at another option at around, that is a patch or whatever you want to call it.
1,000 or less.
That would cost $1,000.
Your choice.
I would recommend maybe we make a motion to amend this to take out the counters so that if the other items are still amenable.
Can I ask a question about the aesthetics of the project? Because this is a hard surface material that they were going to be replacing it with. Is it currently laminate?
It is laminate.
Currently plastic laminate.
Yeah, and are there other countertops that are going in the office that are also going to be of this same
No.
hard surface? So is there going to be mismatching?
No.
No, okay. Just want to make sure that you don't have 2 different types of countertops in the, that would bother me.
It's like at the back of your kitchen sink.
Yeah.
It's a space that wide. You have to cover.
My opinion is that we're building new things. Let's have new countertops. And it's, I mean, in a multi-million-dollar project, this is fiscal noise, so let's just do it nice and do it right. And no offense to my very esteemed colleagues here, but I like new things when we're doing new.
That's fine, but just so you know, there's nothing else new really in that room. It's still the same cabinets, walls, everything else. We just had to repair around that, just so you know.
Well, I'll make the motion to amend the change order to remove the countertop piece and include the rest of the stuff. You said there's 4 pieces to the change order,
Yes, sir.
right? So let's remove so I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
What are we doing?
So
So we're having a vote on a revised motion then.
Would this slow us down? Okay.
So there's been a motion made to amend 5G, the high school, middle school project change order GC-01, to remove the countertop replacement, and we are going to patch.
I think at this point, we're just going to take that off.
So we're just taking 5G off.
We'll wait to see a proposal from them for what to do about it next meeting.
Okay, so then we're making a motion to remove 5G, the high school, middle school project change order GC-01 from the agenda. Dr. Goetz made that motion. Is there a second?
I believe Mr. Noggle seconded.
All right, it's Mr. Noggle.
Just taking off the counter.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a man with the money. Ain't got the money, talking about the money. Come on.
I maybe misunderstood the question, but if you're going to nix the whole change order, yes, it will hold up progress on the other 3 items.
So yes.
Yeah, I think what's on, just to clarify, what's on, the motion is to remove the countertop piece
Correct.
from the change order on 5G and approve, well, that's what we're voting on right now. So once if
Okay, I
that
just wanted to
passes,
make
then we
sure
will
that's not
vote on
what he said, but that's what.
the actual item.
It's not what I said? Pretty sure that's what I said.
Caleb, do you need to clarify anything?
Yep, we're good.
We're good.
We're good. So there is a motion made by Dr. Goetz. There is a second by Mr. Noggle. Is there any discussion on that?
We're discussing off the table, so.
Okay, so
everything else
what we're voting on, Fred, is to remove the countertops from this change order. That's step 1. Step 2 would be then to vote on the new change order.
You say
The other 3 things are on there.
it won't slow up the project.
No,
Not if you take 2, 3, and 4 on the change.
we're still approving the other 3.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed?
Nay.
Roll call.
Mr. Bard, Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mr. Kressler,
Yes.
Dr. Goetz,
Yes.
Dr. Lyman,
No.
Mr. Noggle,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Donovan,
Yes.
Mrs. Everly is absent. 6 yes, 1 no, motion passes.
Now we're voting on the revised change order.
5.
I'm so confused.
It's the state.
So items 2, 3, and 4 on change order is what we're voting on now.
There's
So,
2, 3, and 4. All
yeah,
right, so then,
we don't need a motion because there's already a motion to approve that.
okay.
So we just need to vote on it.
Now we're going to vote on items 2, 3, and 4 of 5G change order GC-01. And let's do a roll call.
I think we need it first.
Well, we need a motion.
No, we already had the motion.
Okay.